Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. So it's always a privilege to talk to you guys. Today I'll be talking to us something that hopefully will be important, and I hope you'll be able to appreciate it. I have been very busy. I've not been able to make videos, and of course you guys have asked some questions and I've not been able to respond. It's not like I'm trying to ignore you, or as the case may be, but I have decided to start going through the questions. Hopefully I'll be able to answer one of the questions that have been asked today. Okay, so someone has asked me, because I had made a video on blood recall, blood product recall, maybe red blood cells, or maybe FFP, cryo, platelet, or as the case may be, where NHSBT can recall those things if they think that the blood product may have a potential to cause harm to the patient, or as the case may be. And I think someone put a comment, saying, is there any possibility of recurring laboratory results? So meaning, can we recall laboratory results? Okay, so we're going to discuss that. Before we continue, my name is Dr. Emmanuel Obodo. I'm a biomedical scientist, and I'm also a lecturer in biomedical science here in the United Kingdom. So yeah, let's get into this. Now, the first thing I want you to understand is that everything that happens in the lab, the center of what that goes on in the lab is for patient safety. The center of what that goes on in the lab is for the safety of the laboratory users. Okay, the center of what that goes on in the lab is to make sure that the laboratory adhere to the ISO laboratory standard 15189. So it doesn't matter what that happens in the lab, whether it is at the pre-analytical phase or analytical phase or post-analytical phase, whether it is specimen reception, phlebotomies, or biomedical scientists or managers, training officers, everything, the center of it is to ensure that the service we are providing is consistent as prescribed by ISO 15189. So why did I say that? I say that because it then means that if there is anything in any form that can impede, affect the services that will render to the service user, that thing need to be investigated. That thing need to be prevented. That need to be stopped. Okay, that need to be improved upon. Okay, so what it means is that if anything goes wrong and it looks like what has happened can affect the patient, can affect the management of the patient, that thing is something that we need to investigate. Anytime a biomedical scientist fail to investigate or prevent, okay, the possibility or the potential of something causing harm to that patient, that biomedical scientist has failed in his or her own job. Okay, that's by the way. So the question is, can we recall laboratory results? The answer is absolutely yes. Okay, so we can recall laboratory results. Now, I think before we can be able to answer that, let's say that was a question they asked you. Even though you say yes, that is a correct answer, but it's always important to give background, foundation of why you said that is the answer. Okay, now I think we should ask ourselves, what then is recall? What exactly is recall? I had already explained that on my previous video, but just to give us a hint. So you are recalling something when you find out that there is error, when you find out that a particular activity, a particular service, has been wrongly delivered. In other words, it has a potential of impacting negatively on the patient's health and well-being. Once you notice such a thing in any form, you need to recall, you need to notify, you need to do something that will show that you are aware, you've identified this error. So at which point can we then recall laboratory result? Anytime you find out that the laboratory result that you've given out, that the result that has gone to the to the GP or to the doctor, or the result that has gone out that has formed a background of how the patient is being managed, anytime you notice that result has not been correctly delivered, anytime you notice that result has not really followed standard, anytime you notice that something may have affected the reliability of that very result, you need to recall it. Now, let me give you a little background. So sometimes, okay, there can be reagent contamination, obviously, and sometimes you might even be surprised. The interface, the software, the analyzer, the computers, something could happen and they start transferring wrong result. Okay, now think about one other question that they usually ask you guys. They said, when you notice that one of your analyzer is giving you a wrong result, what are you going to do? Now, I already have a video on that, but what I'm trying to say is that imagine that you've been authorizing, validating result, but suddenly you notice that since you've been validating this result, there has been abnormal result. Maybe one parameter, okay, let's say PTR now has always been high or has always been low from this particular analyzer, or hemoglobin, or urea, or creatinine, or whatever thing you think that is happening from one analyzer, and you didn't notice at the beginning because you think, okay, maybe that's consistent with the patient, or you think maybe that's not a problem, but you've noted that there's a consistency from one analyzer. You may have imagined that maybe you've validated, maybe you've already authorized up to 50 samples, perhaps 100, perhaps 20, as the case may be. At that point, you notice that thing, you need to stop that analyzer and you need to investigate it. Now, if after your investigation you find that there is something wrong with that analyzer that makes it to give you that kind of result, what it means that you need to recall back all the result that you validated that has gone through that analyzer. And that recalling back means that you need to rerun the sample, obviously, to another analyzer you think that is working very well. And what it means that any result that has gone to patient, that has gone to the GP, that has gone to the doctors to manage the patient, you also need to notify them. You need to call them to recall back that result, because that means that if you don't recall it, you are saying that you are giving a wrong result, and that in itself can affect how they are going to manage the patient. So what am I trying to say? Your interface, the computer, the limbs, some things could happen, and maybe they may start transferring wrong results. Your equipment can start giving you wrong results. There could be contamination with the reagent. A number of things could lead to that. Once you notice there is something somehow in any form, directly or indirectly, that suggests that a wrong result has been given out, it's important that you recall it. So how would you recall it? You obviously, depending on what that caused it, okay? If it is based on personal error, not the equipment now, not the reagent, not the interface, but based on personnel. So if it is based on personnel error, so what is going to happen? We then call the GP or call the doctor and recall back that result. Say, oh, please, we have made a mistake. Please, could you just ignore that result? It's not that they are going to send you back the result, because everything is transferred electronically. So that may be different from blood product and all of that. So because everything is transferred electronically, what you need to do is to let them know this result, please ignore it. You can also put a comment and say, ignore this result. Sometimes you can also go to the patient result and delete all the results. Do you understand me? That way you have recorded. What it means that because you've already told the doctors to ignore the result, that means you have recorded that result, because you are saying don't make judgment based on this result. Okay, so if it is based on personnel, you phone the doctors or you phone the GPs. Okay, you can delete the result from the laboratory information management system. You can rerun the sample, as the case may be, and that way is a form of recall. Okay, now, but what about if the wrong result, or what you are thinking that may have caused that, could be from the analyzer or reagent, as the case may be? Obviously, again, you also need to investigate. If your investigation suggests that it is any of these things that I've mentioned, once again, you now find a way to correct it. While you are correcting it, you also need to let the doctors know and GP know that, listen, the result that I have released, okay, because you must have checked the result that has gone through that analyzer, and of course, recall it again by notifying the GP, notifying the doctor, please, not to make a decision on that. Sometimes, by the time you notify them, they had already made a decision, but that helped them to act on that, to see how they can be able to manage that situation. So the answer to that question is that we do recall laboratory results, and when we do recall them, it's dependent on what we think. If we think that the result that has gone out is wrong, maybe either due to personnel mistake, okay, due to maybe error from the personnel, or due to error from the analyzer reagent, as the case may be, anything that could have caused that, okay, that is what that can prompt us to recall that very result. I hope that makes sense. So the answer is yes, we do record laboratory result. I just thought I should add another layer to this. There is a reason why we use the word non-conformance in the lab. Non-conformance means that there is something, what has happened, the service that has happened, the activity that has been conducted, whatever thing it is outside the prescribed standard, is not a true reflection of what the laboratory, the service that the laboratory is supposed to give. Anything of such need to be investigated. And if such a thing has already gone out, it need to be recalled. I hope that makes sense. All right. Thank you very much for listening. Do let me know what you think about the video. Please, can I ask you to like, share, subscribe, and thank you very much. Feel free to contact Two Good Consultants for any help, okay? And we are more than happy to help you. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best till I come back your way again. Bye-bye.